So in this presentation, we're going to look at a reporting tool called Power View. What we're going to use as the starting point for this presentation is the end of the Power Pivot presentation that we did just earlier, where we brought in data from two different sources. So we brought it in from our IT Data Mart, which was the fact absence table, so the number of student absences, which is dimensioned by year, absence type, and school. And we also brought in a second set of data, which shows the number of funded hours that the students have received, the number of funded counselling hours. Using the Power Pivot tool, we then connected those two data sets together. So what we'd like to do now is actually report on this model, and we can do that by going back to Excel, clicking on the Insert menu and choosing from a range of different report types. In this particular case, I'm going to choose Power View as the report visualization. Now what this is going to do is, because I'm within the same Excel memory space as the Power Pivot model, it's going to use the Power Pivot model that I've created as the source for this Power View report. And what I can do now is just start clicking on some of the measures. So for example, let's choose the absence count, and we'll choose the school name as well. You can see over here it's just going to put that in as a fairly simple grid. What I can do though is to convert that into a pie chart, and we'll just leave that up on the screen there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create three different Power View reports, and each one will be a different type of visualization. But for this first one, we're going to create three different report types on the screen, and we'll actually connect them together. So that's our absence count by school name. For our second one down the bottom here, we'll choose absence count by year, for example. Now you'll notice year there has come in as a sum, because it's a numeric value. We're going to say do not summarize, and we'll just make that a little bit bigger, and we'll convert that to a bar chart, and we'll expand that one out. And then over in this corner we'll do something similar, but in this case we'll choose the funded hours as the measure, and we'll dimension that by year. Once again we'll say do not summarize, and we'll just click and drag that one down the bottom there and convert that one into, let's say, a stacked column chart. Now the really nice thing about Power View is that all of these are now connected. So for example, this is Millwood Creek High. If I click that, these graphs here will automatically filter. So I've chosen Millwood Creek High, so the darker blue sections now are specific to Millwood, but you can see them in comparison to all schools there. If I want to, I can control click a second school and so forth, and then those graphs will change. If I click anywhere in this screen here, it will go back to selecting all. And then, for example, if I click on the 2011 bar, you can see how these will automatically filter as well. So that's our first Power View example, a fairly simple one. What we're going to do now is insert another one. And for this particular report, we're going to do something called a scatter chart. Now, scatter charts are great for trying to tease out relationships between measures over a time period. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to choose two different measures here. We'll choose our funded counselling hours, and we'll also choose our absence count, and we'll choose school name, and we'll convert that into a scatter chart, and we'll just make that a little bit bigger so we can see that a bit easier. Once I've chosen scatter chart, I'll have an extra field here for the play axis. So we're going to put our year on the play axis, and we'll see what that means in just a sec. And the other thing I'm going to do is choose the funded counselling hours, and we'll put that on the size. Now once I do that, we'll see this here, and we'll just make that a bit bigger for the moment. So on our y-axis we have the absence count, so the number of absences. On our x-axis we have the number of funded counselling hours, and then the intersection is how each school has gone there. So the number of absence count for this school here was 100, with a corresponding funded counselling hours value of 10, and this was for 2011. You can see the play axis here. If I click on that and drag that back, you'll notice how those dots there change around over time. The other thing I can do is click on the play button, and then that will just automatically animate over that time period there. Alternatively, we can click on one of those dots, and we can see that for this school here, Fernvale Valley High, we can see the range of movement there in funded counselling hours, and also the corresponding range of movement in absence count. Same with these schools here. This one here, for example, though, has got a fairly steady decrease, or a steady trend decrease in the amount of absences, with a corresponding steady increase in the amount of funded counselling hours. So scatter charts within PowerView, very powerful for illustrating relationships between different measures over a time period. Now the other report type I just wanted to demonstrate within PowerView now is a map report. So what we're going to do here is visualize the funded counselling hours, or the absence count, over a map. Now to do this though, we need latitude and longitude data. So what I'm going to do is go back to my Power Pivot model, and I'm going to actually bring in an additional data set here. And I can do that by going up to Get External Data and saying From Other Sources. I'll go down to Excel, and for the source I'm going to choose the latitude longitude data and click on Use First Row as the column headers, and I'll call that something friendly like location data, and click on Finish, and that will import that data into the model. Now if you recall the previous presentation on Power Pivot, you'll remember that because this is a separate data source now, I need to go to my diagram view, and for location data I'm going to click on School and connect that up to the school one there, and I can right click and say Hide from Client Tools. We don't need to show school within there because we already have that there, and this is now connected into the model. Now once I've done that, if I go back to Excel, you'll notice this pop-up box here saying the data model has changed. Because it's automatically connected within the Excel memory space, it detected that change, so I'll click on OK. Now what I can do now is start creating this geospatial report. So to do that, I'm going to click on the school name. I'm also going to click on the absence count, and I'm going to turn that into a map report, and I'll just expand that out there. Now once I've turned it into a map report, you'll notice I've got latitude and longitude boxes here. So if I go up to my location data there, I can click on longitude and bring that down. Same with latitude, and bring that one down. And then for the locations, I'm going to choose the school name and drag that down there. Once I do that, you'll notice that the map automatically zooms in because it's now got both something to visualize with, the school name, and also the latitude and longitude coordinates. Now the nice thing about PowerView geospatials is that I can automatically pan and zoom. So I'm just using my mouse here to drag that around. I can zoom in on a particular school, and this is using Bing Maps to visualize that. I can mouse over and it will pop up with the school name. So quite powerful here, zooming out now to show that at a high level. So we've done 3 different reports there: a geospatial report, a scatter chart to illustrate the connection between different measures over time, and the first one we did was a simple report number of different graphs on screen. Now as a business user, if I think that this is of value to other users, I can now go up here and say File, Save, and push that up to SharePoint into my Power Pivot gallery, which is what I have here. Now in the Power Pivot gallery, as another user or another set of users, I can do a number of things. I can simply click on that, and this is going to render that same report or set of 3 reports that I saw within Excel, but it's going to do this within a browser. And it looks exactly the same as Excel. So I've got my tabs down the bottom here for the 3 different report types that I created. I can simply click as I did within Excel, but bearing in mind this is now operating through a browser. The other thing I can do is I can click on my Power Pivot solution that I uploaded, but I can go over here and click on Create PowerView Report. Now this is going to provide me with pretty much exactly the same report authoring scenario that I had within Excel, but this is now occurring within a browser. But I'm being presented here with the Power Pivot model. So just like I did within Excel, I can click on the absence count, for example, and I can click on the school name, and I can turn that into a column chart, the same as what we did within Excel, but this is now operating within a browser. So essentially what we've done there is we've created a Power Pivot solution within the desktop Excel client. We've pushed that up to SharePoint, and then within SharePoint as a business user, we can then create that same report authoring and viewing scenario that we had within Excel. So quite a powerful combination of tools there. A power user creating something using the desktop version of Excel, pushing that up to SharePoint to enable other users to then take advantage of that model to do their own reporting.